which will be commemorated today. It was on this day, the 16th of August 2012, that the country watched in horror as a total of 34 mine workers were brutally shot and killed at the hands of police. The National Union of Mineworkers, which was also at loggerheads with another union, AMCU, at Lonmin mine at the time, says that all mine workers from both unions were affected by the death of each of those involved. The unions have also asked for speedy compensation of the affected mine workers' families, including the 10 people who were killed before the tragic events on the 16th of August. And we cross once again this morning for the commemorative issues and proceedings around the Marikana Massacre to our SABC News reporter Tebogo Phakedi, who is in Marikana this morning. Tebogo, and we have spoken to some of the policing experts. We've spoken to representative of the families as well. And of course, you've been speaking to the unions. Saw earlier you're speaking to AMCU. What's happening there at the moment? Is there any further activity given COVID? And also, do you have another guest for us?
Thank you very much, Sakina. Once again, good morning to you and the viewers. At this point, there are no activities taking place here at the Kopi behind me. This is the infamous Kopi, like you mentioned earlier on, where the mine workers were here at this area in 2012, just before the massacre. You did mention NUM and AMCU. Really, when you talk about the mine workers, you will, of course, mention the unions also, but you cannot divorce the mining communities from these mines. You would know that these mine workers, particularly here in Rustenburg, they do not reside in specific perhaps properties belonging to the mines. However, when they knock off, they do go to communities nearby, and you would know that there is a mining charter which also states that the mines have to ensure that they take certain social responsibilities of the communities they are mining around. But the issue of Marikana has never been just the issue of mine workers. It has always been an issue of communities also saying the mines are not doing anything for us. And I will talk to Napoleon Webster, who was one of the activists just from 2012 up to this day. You would know he's one of the people that were quite active when it comes to talking about the issues of communities. Thank you very much, Napoleon Webster, for talking to us. Let's talk about the mining community. When the miners knock off from work, they come to these communities. In terms of service delivery and the mines, really, are the mines at this point, are there any changes when we talk about service delivery?
No, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. It's an insult that to this date, like Sebanye goes to the media and make noise about things that they're doing. All they do is just to paint and put sponsored by Sebanye. We want beyond that. The roads are still bad. You came using this road. We're discussing how you came in here. The roads are bad. The drainage system is collapsing. The children of miners, small children, are suffering from this hazardous conditions. It is bad that Sebanye keeps on lying on the media, claiming to be caring, to be better than Lonmin, but they're the same devils. They're still the same devils. We believe that they're still that they continue doing this because the previous owners, which is Lonmin, messed us up. So they continue the mess, the legacy of making black people to live in bad conditions. And this is very painful, particularly because the political situation in South Africa doesn't show that those who make noise and benefit from making noise about the mining conditions, they're saying nothing. They're silent. If, for instance, if the politicians, the opposition parties, they were able to deal with the former President Jacob Zuma Zuma, and now he's in jail. Why is it difficult for us to get justice? Why is it difficult for the politicians to stand up and if they're not captured, you know, if they're not benefiting from the bad living conditions of black people, why is it difficult for them to stand as they stood? We saw black faces being murdered here, and the changes are nowhere to be seen. Sibanye is still arrogant. Politicians are still making noise on Twitter there and there, comfortable driving Mercedes-Benz and BMWs, but nothing is happening. Our living conditions are the same. The looters, the mining companies which are looting our minerals, are continuing to loot, whereas they're sitting there in parliament making noise, and I'm sure they're happy that Jacob Zuma went to jail. If we want to close the chapter of Marikana, why is the politicians not standing up? Why is the opposition only benefiting from the votes? We are giving them power to go there, but there's nothing to gain from them. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. If they were able to remove Jacob Zuma, they can be able to assist us to find justice. Now Jacob Zuma is in jail. They can do the same thing. Those who killed our brothers can also go to jail. Thank you very much.
That was Napoleon Webster, one of the community members here in Marikana, and of course he is talking about the issues of service delivery here. The mine workers were given, just prior to 2012, the living out allowance, but based on the issues that they were talking about then, saying we can't even sustain ourselves with this living out allowance, they ended up establishing the informal settlements, which is one of the areas we are standing at the moment. And I can just attest that just in front of me are shacks where you would find a lot of mine workers, and many of them to this day still saying even services at this point are not provided. He's of course talking about the issue of accountability. We know at this point that the former deputy commissioner of SABC here in the Northwest was acquitted of charges that he was facing on the case of one of the mine workers, Mudisa Utsile Sekhalala, where the court was saying there is no evidence that he withheld information about the alleged spot where Sekhalala passed on, but also there is another case that is going on. Sakina, back to you in studio.
Well, Tebogo, thanks so much. Very informative interview once more, talking about the actual conditions that the communities live in around these mines. And it begs once more questions, as we heard with Eldred de Klerk regarding policing. This once again begs the questions about legislation and complying with legislation, and of course the leadership and political will to ensure that people actually comply with legislation. But we'll park it there for the time being. Tebogo Phakedi in Marikana for us.